There's a past version of you that is really, really trying to get a message to you right now. They have something that you really, really need to hear. I already pulled some cards on what from your past. What is the past energy that's being called to pay attention to for you right now? And we got the moon in reverse. And basically what I'm getting from this is you used to be a person there. You didn't really think about the effect that you had on others. You were possibly quite manipulative with this Knight of Swords in reverse. Knight is usually about action, reflection, thinking about the future and the effects of things, and Swords is intellect. So with it being in reverse, you weren't reflecting. Think about the moon. The moon reflects the sun, right? It gets all of its illuminating power from the sun, and you weren't doing any of that. You didn't care. You moved in quite manipulative ways is what I'm hearing, but you've grown to be this version that, you know, who you've become, who you've worked to be is this Knight of Cups. And Knight of Cups really just, Cups is about emotion, right? And then Knight, as I just said, is about reflection of the future. You've really worked through the emotional effects that you've had with other people, the emotional effects that you've had on yourself also. So we're going to tap a little bit more in here. Just wanted to pick up some energy before we got into the reading, but it really seems like your past self is coming here to try and remind you of this growth that you've had, almost as if that's why this message is here. So I want to get a little bit more insight here. What is their main message? Okay, so we got 9 of Wands here. So what I'm hearing is that despite this growth that you've done, your past self is almost wanting to remind you of that growth that you've done, because you're starting to fall back into ways that they lived. You know, they're trying to remind you, hey, that's for them. The version that you are right now doesn't do that anymore. So stop. Reminder, I'm hearing negative coping mechanisms, whether that's nicotine, alcohol, surface level connections, gambling. I'm hearing like really, really unhealthy coping mechanisms, maybe even like some hard drugs is what I'm hearing too. But even on a different surface level too, I'm also getting a connection with unhealthy eating, not proper hygiene in a level of just like not properly taking care of yourself, or falling out of a self-care routine that you used to have, and you're almost retreating back into this negative version. And then we also have Page of Swords here, which, a confirmation burp, goodness. I need water, hold on. Okay, so yeah, we had the 9 of Wands in reverse, and then we also had the Page of Swords in reverse. Remember what I was talking to you about with Page being, or not Page, but Swords being about intellect? So I feel like you're being really called in this time from your past version, this past self that's calling to you right now. You're being reminded that to grow into this version that they want you, that they want for you, you want for yourself currently, and your higher self is currently living in, you need to be willing to let go of anything. You cannot hold anything. You cannot have control over everything that's in your life. You need to be willing to step into unknown by stripping yourself of what you already know. So let's see. I feel like that's moving us into, what are you being called to do here? That is more than I will take at a time. We do have Queen of Wands. The other ones were upside down, but this one did come out bright side up, so I'm going to take it actually. Queen of Wands in reverse. I feel like you're being called to step into your queen. Like, you are here right now and you're being called to step into your queen. Queen is your divine feminine, and the divine feminine is really about nurturing, self-care. Like I said, maybe you're falling out of that self-care routine. Your Queen of Wands is about the heart and how you can create your life, right? So Queen of Wands, she's really stepped into her feminine power when it comes to knowing what she wants to create for her life, but following her passion and her dreams. So you're being called to step away, but when it's in reverse, we have the opposite, right? The opposite of nurturing is manipulative. So you are being called to step away from this manipulative power control, I guess is what I'm hearing, that, you know, your past self would often be in. My eyelash is bothering me. Hold on. Okay, so anyways, with this Queen of Wands in reverse, what I'm hearing is to step away from, whether you're realizing it or not, I'm hearing some of this manipulation is subconscious. It's not all fully known, but it's driven by a lack of self-love. I'm hearing talk to yourself kinder. Stop talking to yourself in the way that you used to talk to. Your past self is reminding you, hey, that didn't do good for us. There's a reason why we're not the same anymore. There's a reason why you cannot relate to me, and you're starting to step into ways where you can relate to me again, and they're using me as, you know, the speaking vessel to remind you that you've done so much work to be away from that version. Don't fall back into them. Do not. You are worth so much more than that. Actually, I want to get into Oracle really quickly. Let me grab my Oracle deck. Alright, so let's go ahead and we'll tap in and we'll ask your angels and your spirit guides what is going to help you here with this healing. Okay. Having a better focus. I hear that there's a lot of overthinking happening, and I feel like that's part of what's driving this negative self-talk. This lack of self-love, really, is a lack of focus on why you're doing what you're doing. Why did you get up and start growing? Why do you not relate to past you anymore? There's a reason why that version of you said, I'm done, and brought you to where you are right now. Why did you do that? You're being called to celebrate yourself. Literally, I hear for this collective that you've grown, right? You've done the work of the Knight of Cups. You worked through your emotions. You really sat down with it. But now you're sitting down with everything. And you don't celebrate yourself. You're almost like burning yourself out by continuously trying to get to this point. But you're losing a lack of focus on why you're doing what you're doing. You're almost falling back into the same ways of thinking that you used to have. And you're being reminded by spirits and your past self, catch yourself, okay? You know, it's, especially if you worked through a place of retraining your brain, you know, if you were someone who grew up telling yourself that you don't deserve the things that you want, you're not good enough, you know, there's something wrong with you constantly, whatever it may be, your brain spent that time wiring itself to work in that way, right? And then you got up one day and said, I don't want to do this anymore. This feels like shit. I'm done. I'm good off of this. It's not going to be in your nature to just say, oh, you know what? I got this. This is good. No, I do deserve this. This may be hard. This may seem difficult, but I got this. You need to still celebrate yourself. And I'm hearing that's part of something like you weren't celebrated as a child is something that I'm hearing. You take what resonates. If it doesn't resonate, leave it there. We're going to go into a part 2 because I'm about to run out of some time and I have some more cards I'm going to pull. So I'll catch you there.